Hello everyone and welcome to our grade 7 English class for today. Okay? So this is the second part of our video. So if you haven't watched the first part, make sure you watch the first part of our video. Okay? So this is already the second part and we will be talking about the last part of our lesson, which is the sentences according to structure and the sentences according to purposes. So there are two kinds of sentences. Again, sentences according to structure and sentences according to purpose. So to start our lesson today, now I want you to read these sentences, okay? And I want you to what's the difference? I want you to determine the difference between the three. Okay? So unsay difference aning tulo. Okay? I read this one and let me know unsay a difference between the three. So the sentence is the chef cooked. The next says Ivan builds robots and he also repairs motorcycles. And then the next is Rob hid in the corner because he hated dancing. Okay? Let me know unsay difference nila. Okay, aside sa kataso niya, aside from its length, unsa man ang difference? What's the difference between these three sentences? Okay. Wala mo kabalo? Is it hard? Okay, don't worry because we will know the difference between these three because we will be talking about the kinds of sentences according to structure. Lahi-lahi na silang structure ang tulo. The first one is a simple sentence. The second one is a compound sentence. And the third one is a complex sentence. And we will learn about these three plus ang ilang igsuon na usa which ato lang we will discuss lightly, which is the compound complex sentence later on. Now I know some of you have already had this lesson when you were in elementary. This will be just a review for you. Okay? Now let's go to the simple sentence. A simple sentence contains one independent clause to express one single idea. Again, usa ra gyud siya ka independent clause. Remember our topic the last time about independent clause? Di ba, ang independent clause has subject and verb. That's it. Now, a simple sentence is can contain four things. Number one, it can contain one subject and one verb. Let's say for example here, the baby cried for food. Now, one subject, that's baby, and one verb, that's cried. It can be like that. Or, it can also be like this. It can contain one subject and two verbs. Pwede one subject, then two verbs. But ang kaning two verbs, ang kanira yung usa ka subject ang nagbuhat. Even though that there are two verbs, these two verbs are being done by only the subject. So, the one who's doing the verb is just the subject, the same subject. So, for example, here in our sentence, Sir Kevin's intelligent students completed and turned in their homework. So, the subject there is who? It's not Sir Kevin, but it's the good. It's the students. The students are the subject here. And our two verbs here are what? Two verbs are good, completed, and turned in. Okay? So, mo na to ang two subjects, one subject, and two verbs. Okay? Next, it can also contain two subjects and one verb. Bali, the other way around na pod. Two subjects and one verb. So, for example, here, Marian and Sheila ate lunch together. What is our subjects? What are our subjects? Our subjects are Marian and Sheila. So these are two subjects. Unsa man atong verb? What's the verb here? Good. Our verb here is ate. Therefore, a simple sentence can contain two subjects and one verb. And lastly, a simple sentence can also contain two subjects and two verbs. Okay? So, Marian and Sheila ate lunch together and went out and ate lunch together. Okay? So, Marian and Sheila, two subjects, and atong two verbs, went out and ate lunch together. Went out, went, og ate. Okay? So, mo na tong simple sentence. Our simple sentences are composed of those four katong mga kinds of sentences. One subject, one verb, two subjects, one verb, one subject, two verbs, and two subject, two verbs. Now let's go to the compound sentence. The compound sentence contains two or more independent clauses with no dependent clause. Wala say dependent clause, ha? Remember that one. These are all independent clauses. Pwede duha, pwede tulo. Okay? And these independent clauses are linked by using, number one, conjunctions, semicolons, and colons. And we will talk about that one. How are we going to connect two or more independent clauses? Okay? The first one is we are going to use a coordinating conjunction. Okay? Coordinating conjunction. And atong acronym for the coordinating conjunction is, if you remember in your elementary, look at the example unsay mga first letters, ana. What's the first letters of those? Our coordinating conjunctions are fanboys. And what are the fanboys? For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. So those are our fanboys. And always remember to use a comma before the conjunction. When you put the conjunction before the conjunction, use a comma to separate the two independent clauses. So for example here, daghan kaya akong example gibutang. I'll just read a few, okay? Ali loves swimming, comma, for she grew up near the sea. Okay? So she grew up near the sea, that's one idea, and Ali loves swimming is another idea. And it is being connected by the coordinating conjunction for. So, kanang duha ka idea gi-connect niya. Another example, Ali loves swimming but she hates running. So, we have one idea here, Ali loves swimming, and another idea here, she hates running. And kaning duha is being connected by the coordinating conjunction but. Okay? So, that's easy. Coordinating conjunctions, pwede natin siya i-connect. Okay, i-connect na to ang duha ka independent clause. We connect the two independent clauses. Now, what if tulo? What if you have three independent clauses in the sentence? It's still a compound sentence, ha? As long as there is no independent clause. Okay? Oh, sorry. As long as there is no dependent clause. Walay clause nga nagdepende into someone else. Sana all. Digin mo depend on someone else, ha? You have to stand on your own. Anyway, after that hugot, let's proceed, okay? If joining three or more independent clauses, you have to use this one. You have to remember this one. Comma. You have to use a comma after every clause. And then, ang kanang second to the last, after sa second to the last independent clause, you have to put the coordinating conjunction. Just like our example here. So, gibutangan niya comma after sa Ali loves swimming, comma, Aidan builds robots, comma, dayon ang coordinating conjunction, and dayon. And Sophie loves reading. Okay? So, mao na siya atong buhaton if three or more independent clauses. But this seldom happens. This happens kana, for example, isulti na to, for example, unsa gipang buhat sa usa ka character. Let's say, for example, she is running, he is talking, and they are playing. Okay? So, ana. Okay? So, mao na to, that's how we do it if we have three or more independent clauses. Now, a compound sentence can also be connected through a semicolon. Very easy rin ni. Semicolon rather, instead na mabutang tag comma o mabutang ta og coordinating conjunction, we can also put semicolons. A semicolon performs the same role as a conjunction and can therefore be replaced by a conjunction. Pwede ra gyud na mao ni atong himuong conjunction ang kanang semicolon. So inibutang nato sa semicolon mana. That's it. So Aidan builds robots, he also repairs motorcycles. Okay, so these are closely related items. It talks about Aidan. So might as well connect them using a semicolon. And a semicolon only works if they're closely related. Ang kaning two ideas are closely related. Okay? And lastly, we go to the colons. Dili ni colon ha, colon carbon, but colons. Okay? Colons. Okay? Now, rather than connecting two similar ideas, a colon is used to show that the second independent clause is an explanation. Okay? We only use the colons if it's an explanation to the first independent clause. And it cannot be replaced by a conjunction. Dili na to siya mailisan og conjunction. So, dili para itong semicolon nga, we can just put conjunction. Let's say, for example, Aiden builds robots, and he also repairs motorcycles. Pwede na itong butang og end. And then after sa end, ito lang ilisan og semicolon. But here in the colon, we cannot replace it with a with a conjunction. So therefore, ang kaning second nga independent clause has to explain the first independent clause para makagamit ta og colon. Let's say, for example, Aiden has an unusual hobby. He builds robots. So, ang kanang he builds robots there is only explaining, supporting, or an explanation to the first independent clause, which is Aiden has an unusual hobby. Okay? So, mao na siya nga to ang compound sentence. Now, let's go to complex sentence. Now, a complex sentence contains one independent clause and one or more dependent clause. Okay? One independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. So, mugawas na diri ang ato ang dependent clauses. Now, subordinating conjunctions, again, as what I've told you in the last video, subordinating conjunctions or relative pronouns connect the two clauses. Let's say, for example here, Zoe put on her coat because it was cold. Again, mga tanataon sa asa man atong independent clause there. Where's our independent clause? Sa Zoe put on her coat. And then because it was cold, this now is our subordinating conjunction. Okay? Because it explains why Zoe put on her coat. But if ato raning kwaon ang kaning Zoe put on her coat, ang atong sentence kay kanirang because it was cold, it won't make sense. Therefore, kinahanglan ginato siyang isumpay sa independent clause, which is the Zoe put on her coat. Okay? So, when we link subordinating conjunctions, we either use kanang subordinating clauses, we use subordinating clauses or kanang dependent clauses. Okay? Ayaw mo kalibog. When we link kanang subordinating, that's another word for kanang the dependent clause. Okay? So, for our dependent clause, we can link them using subordinating conjunctions, which are listed here, or a relative pronoun, which is also listed here. So take note of those kanang conjunctions because that will really be helpful for you in identifying a complex sentence. Okay? So this is how kanang the dependent clauses work. Okay? So Zoe had fun at the dance class. So where she met a new friend. Zoe had fun at the dance class, which finished late. Zoe had fun at the dance class while the music played. Zoe had fun at the dance class although she was tired. Zoe had fun at the dance class until it was time to go. Okay? So, you can have a lot of sentences if you use kanang dependent clauses. Dagan kag mabuhat ng mga sentence if you are going to use the dependent clause properly. Okay? So make sure nga you know the list of subordinating conjunctions and relative pronouns because that will really help you in your writing. Okay? And lastly, ato ang last na sentence is what we call the compound complex sentence. And from the word itself, it's complex. Kaya nga naman, it contains two independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses. So para sa itong example, John didn't come. O kanang naka-red, that's our independent clause. Ang kanang naka-blue is our dependent clause. Okay? John didn't come because he was ill. So Mary was not happy. So we have two independent clauses here and one dependent clause. But don't worry, gamay ra akong pangayoon ninyo aning compound complex. Basta make sure nga dapat ang inyong sentences na ay duha ka independent clause and then naay usa ka dependent clause. And remember, tanawa o natay coordinating conjunction. When ganita mo gamit og coordinating, when ta mo gamit atong fanboys, if we are connecting two independent clauses. But we use subordinating conjunction if we connect a dependent clause to an independent clause. Okay? So I hope that clears out things. Okay? Lastly, we have our sentences according to purpose, and we will just run through this. This is just a review. You know this one. Okay? So we have 4 kinds of sentences. We have the statements, we have the questions, we have the commands and requests, and we have the exclamations. Kung ganahan mo pataas on, this is the names: declarative sentence, interrogative sentence, imperative sentence, and exclamatory sentence. A declarative sentence, of course, is a statement. Okay? It states a fact or it tells feelings. And unsay end punctuation niya? What's the end punctuation of a declarative sentence? It's a period or a full stop. Okay? Now, interrogative sentences or questions ends in what? Ends in a question mark. Very good. An imperative sentence. It's a command or it's a request. It ends in what? It ends in good. It ends in period gihapon or a full stop. Now, exclamatory sentences. There are 2 types of exclamatory sentence. First is, di ba na, ang exclamatory sentence kinamtoy ka ng interjection nga. For example, aning hey, hey, kanang, what are you doing? Sorry, that's an interrogative sentence. Unsa man? Naglibog ko. Ani na lang. Naay duha ka exclamatory sentences. First is kanang butangan nato og kama. Dayon ang exclamation point. Remember, exclamatory sentences always have exclamation points. Remember that one. Now, naay uban sentences na ikama niya, like for example, hey, comma, then blah 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 blah. Nandira pa ang interrogative, dira pa ang exclamation point. Now, some sentences nga, hey, the exclamation point dayon. You left this blah 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 period. Okay? But these are all exclamations or exclamatory sentences. So, ayaw mo kalibog if naay duha ka format ang exclamatory sentence. Don't worry, I will be explaining it to you more tomorrow in our question hour. So if you have any questions, if na mga concepts, if there are concepts that are, not so clear for you, please make sure to ask them in our question hour. Prepare them para inigsugod na to sa atong question hour. When we start our question hour, you can just ask your questions right away. Okay? Now, this is the second part again of the video. If you haven't seen the first part, please watch the first part first. Okay? First part first. Okay? So, thank you for joining again. Thank you for joining our class today. I hope that you are doing well in your houses, and please make sure you answer the exit ticket. If you answer the exit ticket, please make sure you put your correct email address, because that is where I will send the link to the exercise through your email address. Okay? So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you're doing well. God bless you, and bye-bye.